Just look, this creature here. Is there anything in this world that God created that look like this creature? This is myth, fabrication of the mind, and spiritual lust. This demonic looking creature has 4 hands in one side and 4 hands in another side. There is no human that look like this. But this is a god in Vedic astrology. When you look on this creature, someone like me as a Pisces cannot sleep at night because of how scary this creature is. But many of us who are involved in astrology believe that astrology gives us spiritual direction to make our destiny easy in our path. Astrology is a spiritual relaxer. It relaxes our spirit and make our destiny easy. Because when you are facing difficulty in your life, you can look to your transit of the day and read the transit interpretation and find a solution to your problem. Why? Because the people interpreting this spiritual interpretation take it from the right spiritual sources. But what happens when astrological interpreter takes the interpretation from demonic sources? Do you believe demons provide spiritual relaxer? Many of the Vedic astrologists even believe astrology is science. But if astrology is a spiritual interpretation of what is happening in the 12 constellations of the zodiac, how can astrology be science? Science only relies on what you see with your naked eyes. But astrology is not relies on what you see in your naked eyes. That is the first Vedic astrology deception. Another deception is Vedic astrology is Hindu myth. The word myth itself means it is not true. It never happened in real life. If you are trying to interpret something that you believe it will happen in real life, make sure it does not come from myth, because myths are not real life. They are man-made fantasies coming from a man's wishes in his own head. Astrology is no man-made wishes. They are what is happening in the sky right now. Take an example. If Saturn conjunct your natal sun, this is a big transit that affects you for the whole year, including when Saturn goes retrograde and again when Saturn goes direct. This will not be your imagination trying to discipline you for all these changes that will happen. It will be God using Saturn to discipline your ego. But if you have been a disciplined person, Saturn conjunct your natal sun is the beginning of something very big in your life. A new career in leadership or a new marriage can happen at this time. You will be elevated on a big position if you have been a very disciplined person. But in Vedic astrology, the interpretation is always vague. And when you listen to it very careful, there is no any truth in it. Because the interpretation of Vedic astrology is based on myth, fantasy, and wishful thinking. Something that makes Vedic astrology to be a hindrance to your spiritual growth. If you are a person following the interpretation of Vedic astrologers, These Hindu scary creatures are nothing other than demons, and demons torture your spirit. Take an example to Hitler, who believed in Hinduism. Hitler was a person seeking a spiritual understanding, just like me and you. But when he finds out about Hinduism, he becomes a believer in these demonic Hindu gods. They end up leading him astray. And we all know exactly what Hitler did. I don't need to repeat it here. So you can see Vedic astrology is a distraction to your spirit. No spiritual growth can happen when demonic interpretation of the zodiac are part of your life. So, what is the solution of this spiritual crisis? Yes, Vedic astrology is a spiritual disaster if you don't get out of it. If you love your soul and your destiny, you get out of Vedic astrology. Run away from it. So, what is the solution to Vedic astrology? It's called Babylonian astrology. Yes, the first astrologers were from Babylon, and I will come back in new episode to tell you about this spiritual awakening called Babylonian astrology. This is your host, Gregory Kurubone, and I will be back on our next episode.